Yes, people, welcome back to Lead Judges TV. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We thought we'd put on a show for you tonight. I know Arsenal are not playing this weekend, but I hope you still have had a fantastic one and enjoyed the cup final. We've seen some shocking decisions over the weekend. I don't want to go into it too much, but I do want to say this. Boxing is no longer for me. VAR no longer and still doesn't and should never been introduced, but it still doesn't work because the officials are rubbish. And imagine bringing a goalkeeper on for a penalty shootout only to let 11 of the penalties in and then miss your own. And I think that pretty much sums up this weekend. We're having some technical problems. We're having some Wi-Fi issues. Both Dave and Casey are trying to get on, but me and Lead Judges are here. Lee, how are you, mate? And how's your weekend been, buddy?
Yeah, it's been all right. I've had a good weekend, and I've got to say, I watched. I thought, well, I'll tell you what I do. On Saturday evening, I watched the old Man City game, and love and behold, there's Rodri going around kicking who he likes again, like not getting books again. Like that's the
It's
first.
unbelievable, isn't it?
Unbelievable how he gets away with it. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know how he does. And then of course the VAR. You know what I mean? I'm sure that the referees had some sort of envelope put through his door today, like you know what I mean, because that was horrendous. Frank Lampard, I have to say, come out and said it spot on today or yesterday. That, you know, he just didn't do his job properly, and there's no excuse now. Dan, he has got. I don't want to see him anywhere near a game of football again, because if you cannot give handball for that, right, and you just cannot be officiating for anything love or money. And then I've got to say this now. I've got to say this that. I then watched the what's that there now? I'm just looking at the snooker. Sorry, I've got to say I watched the boxing yesterday, and I hope they're going to do something about that, because you know, because I'm telling you this now. I've got nothing against Josh Taylor. I've got nothing, you know, against him. You know, he fought. It's not his fault. But for him then to turn around and say that he won it and all that, like, you know, look, listen, he could have actually fought that when he's fighting. I ain't got a problem with that. But once he's watched it back, he should be, you know, saying, "Oh, no, that's not right." And for me, I will never. If Josh Taylor is fighting another fight, I will not watch it. I will not watch it.
Can I just say, Lee, as well, that it ain't Josh, it ain't even Josh Taylor and you know, the people that be coming out. Felt a bit sorry, really, because everyone's going to give him abuse. It ain't him who I'm annoyed with. It's the three people have decided that he should have won the fight. It's a madness.
They need to be taken for. But if boxing's got any credibility, they do say about and go, no, that's not right. Because I don't know no one that's turned around and said that he won that fight. A couple of people have said it was maybe a little bit closer than what people thought. Look, I'm no boxing expert. I like to go and watch a few bouts. I've been to a few, but ultimately, you know when someone wins and when someone don't. And that was a complete and utter farce. And it's just ruining sport. I'm seeing it in so many things now. You know, VAR has got to go. By the way, I'm just not enjoying VAR. Look at a couple of those decisions today. The offside things. You know. I'm telling you that one today. Lukaku's onside. I looked at it. Where are they getting it? Where are they putting their line on? Like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem
unbelievable.
It's incredible. Like, I mean, so I don't really know what's going on with VAR. You know, the offsides. You can't celebrate a goal. You know, sometimes it gets it right, but most of the time, what VAR has done, Dan, and I don't care what anybody says, it's. We're still talking about it and arguing about it. There's the controversy's still there, 100%. You know what I mean? Hasn't taken it away in any shape or form. So for me, get rid of it. Let's get our football back. I can tell that now. I'm not enjoying football at this moment in time. I'm watching games, you know, people are not celebrating and they're not celebrating. Get back to how it was. You know, there was nothing wrong with football 2-3 years ago. Like, it wasn't. And I'm sorry, like, you know, I'm not having it no more. If you cannot give a handball for that on that VAR decision, I know Everton's Kevin's team and everything like that, but ultimately, if you cannot give handball for that, then what is it doing? What are we doing there? Look, I don't care who won or lost that game. Really. It's not nothing to do with me, like, you know what I mean? But if that was Arsenal, you would be saying there's a conspiracy against us. There's something not quite right, you know. So look, it's done now. There's nothing you can do. But you know what? It's had a bit of taste in me. The boxing. I'm going to say that now. You know, I thought it was a really good fight as well. I really, you know, it was a tense fight. Ruined. Yeah,
I felt sorry for the guy. I really did. I felt so sorry for Jack because I thought it was such a good fight. He did such a great job. Complete underdog. Everybody thought it was going to be a shock and everyone was excited to see it announced. And for that to happen and for them to get that so wrong, I just thought it was absolutely ludicrous. And to see Rodri clearly handball it, you know, and people are going, oh, everyone's only like up in arms because it's Liverpool. What about Everton? Everton have got a season where they're struggling for points. Frank Lampard's just come in. He's had a couple of games against the best team in Europe, let's say, at the moment, probably one of anyway. And then you get Manchester City, who have then gone and completely robbed them. And I just thought it was just harsh, the referee there. And what we're seeing in VAR is just still so controversial. Kev, let's quickly bring you in. Can you hear us all right, KC? You got sound issues?
I could hear you fine. It was some computer issues. I don't know. Maybe it was Liverpool winning. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Maybe it was. Do you know what, Kev? On that
glitch in the matrix, mate.
On Liverpool winning, I don't understand what Thomas Tuchel, what the drugs he's been taking, but to bring on Kepa, Kev, I've never seen anything like this. And then for him to let 11 penalties in and then miss his own one, he looks like a silly boy now to Tuchel because Mendy's been class for Chelsea, isn't he?
Dan, look, let's talk about football. And people tell us football's better now, right? You're telling me you've got your number one goalkeeper in the goal and you're going to swap him. Remember, Kepa's got form on this. He wouldn't come off it one. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And now Tuchel's bringing him on. Why? Why is he bringing him on? Fair enough, if that's what he wants to do. So he got what he deserved. He got what he deserved in the end. Mendy had a great game. Let's be honest. Why take him off? So I'm not just saying it's down to Tuchel, but that is a key decision at that stage of the game. And who knows? Mendy might have saved one. Who knows?
Yeah, we won't know now, will we? We will not know
exactly.
Now. Do you know what? It was actually one of the best goalless games I've seen in a long time, but it could have been about 5 or 6 goals. We saw it hit the net loads of times, every single time. Offside, Van Dijk interfering with play, Havertz offside, Lukaku offside. And I thought, wow, no one wants anyone to score here. But I must admit, both teams going for it. I know you'll probably disagree, Kev. I would have preferred to have seen Liverpool win than Chelsea. Just my preference. A lot of people the other way around. But I didn't really care, if I'm honest with you. It's a final that I would have loved to have been in myself, but obviously we weren't there. And let's just say we lost to the winners, so I suppose we can say that we lost to the holders.
Dan,
go on, mate.
I can't win on this one, can I? I can't win. I'm a London boy and I'm an Arsenal man, so Chelsea's an enemy and I'm Everton and the Merseyside, so Liverpool win. What can
it's
I
horrible,
do?
Isn't it?
You know, can they both lose? I suppose.
They tried to, I think. I think they both tried to.
Yeah, them going to penalties probably was the best scenario in the end. That's all I could wish for. And it went down to probably changing the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think it was. It was just calm. Do you know what? I don't know about you, but watching it, you're just thinking it was like 7, 8. It was just written, wasn't it? You just knew. After what had happened to him in the penalty shootout a few years ago when he refused, it was like football karma just coming back. And you just knew. I just knew that he was going to miss.
Yeah.
Just, you know, like, and he never got near one penalty. And I've got to say, it was a good penalty shootout. The penalties were fantastic. I don't think like who was in goal. I think he got one where he got an hand to it, maybe to keep. But there was some under that sort of pressure. You have to admire. The penalty taking there. I have to say that. You know, so under that sort of pressure. But again, I thought VAR. Ruined it a little bit there. Can anybody tell? Like when I see that Lukaku, I'm thinking that's onside. Well, I don't know what his arm may be there, but you don't score with your arm. No, it's a goal, and then all of a sudden, no. And did you notice how quick these decisions were? I was in the Emirates the other day, sitting around for about 5 minutes for a couple of goals. You know what I mean? Like straight away, bang, and they were nowhere near as close as these ones.
Do you know why though, Lee? I didn't realise until I saw it for myself. They're on the screen, all of them, being shown at Wembley. So they're watching them live as they're thinking about it. So now it's got to be quick because they can't all look at it for 5 minutes in the crowd for us. A crowd of 89 people, can they? Saying that line is clearly onside or offside. They've got to make that split decision. I was looking at it.
It should be 100%.
Yeah.
You know, we're sitting in there paying
Speeds it up.
money and we don't know what's going on. Do you know what? There's been many occasions I'm looking at group chats and all that going, is it offside or not? Because I don't know, you know what I mean? Sitting in the stand, that's not right. By the way, that is not right, you know what I mean? So they need to sort that out. So look, I'll tell you what they need to do. They need to scrap it. That's what they need to do. And I don't want it no more.
Well said, mate. Well
I don't
said.
want it no more. It is. I don't care if people keep telling me, "Oh, it's the people that are doing it." And all that. Sometimes it still comes down to opinion. It's not fact.
And Kev,
Lee,
yesterday
it's the whole
cost Everton
system,
massively.
Yeah, the whole system. The whole system.
Let's get on to that, Dan, because it's all very well whether it works quickly one place and one place it takes time. The key is getting the decision right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That should be what VAR is there for, is to get the decision right. There is nobody who can tell me that Rodri handball in the penalty area was not a penalty. So how the referee never said, I didn't see it, so let me look at it, or Kavanagh, who was apparently doing whatever he was doing.
He's having a cup of tea.
He didn't even let the referee go and have a look.
Nah.
But when the referee was pushed on it, the referee says, I didn't see it, I was on the blind side. So go and have a look at it then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And here's the other thing. The referee doesn't need VAR to tell him he could look at it on the monitor. So let's just make sure we remember that, Gooners, because you know what? We keep hearing narrative that the referee has to rely on VAR to go and view the monitor. No, he doesn't. If he didn't see it, he can go over and look at the monitor. He's the officiator, he's the referee. But they choose not to because, do you know what? Something ain't right. Ashley Cole got a yellow card yesterday, and rightly so, because he was asking the right question. He knows something's up.
Yeah, and do you know what's annoying about that, Kev? You're right. I was watching that incident, and I said he's going to get the yellow card in a minute because he's right. And the reason is, like, they can't explain it. So instead of saying, oh, like, we said that, oh, I'll tell you what, Ashley, we'll send you off and get you.
Yeah, get you gone.
We'll get you
wrong,
gone.
Innit?
You know what I mean? Because I can't explain it, so you're in the wrong, you get fined and all that, and get you gone. I want him to come on there and say why that wasn't a handball. I want to hear this idiot Dermot Gallagher on Sky tomorrow trying to defend it, right? And what really annoys me about it is I see a week ago, and I'm going to bring up the Spurs one because that one was given against Manchester City, like, again, funny enough, it's against Manchester City. And that's funny. It's weird, you know what I mean? But he gets the ball shot straight at his arm, and it's because it's in an outstretched position. It's his hand from 3 yards, pinged at him. That ball's come down to him and he's gone like that. They turn around and say one's handball and one's not. It's ridiculous. It's scandalous at the highest level. And that's because it's a Spurs. You know, don't get me wrong, I loved it was against Spurs. But ultimately, that's not handball.
And then the one at Arsenal. It's simple as that.
2 minutes, an hour before that, you know what I mean? Like, he goes up with his arm like that. The same as the Tottenham one, not given. So there's 3 penalties decisions there. Out of all of those penalties, 1 was given. And realistically, out of the 1, the other 2 were more penalties than the other one. It's, you know, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It is. And do you know what, Lee? And I'll ask both of you this. Have you ever known 2 seasons of more controversial than the last 2?
No.
Since the introduction of VAR. It's a madness. This is supposed to be cutting out stuff like that. This is supposed to be a system that you go over to and go, not quite sure. Let's have a look. Yeah, did touch his arm. Let's give it. And it's absolute madness that they're getting so much wrong, Kev.
Dan, listen, let me just tell you this. Let me just go back a bit. Controversially, do you remember we brought technology in to make the game better? Aston Villa stayed up because of technology not working.
Yeah.
In that Sheffield United game where they scored and it wasn't given. That should have been the wake-up call for all of these technology boffins to say, listen, guys, we got to get this right. We can't be having teams going down on the fact of failing technology, right? So I get all of that, VAR, the lines and all that. And people keep telling me it is fit for purpose. It's the people who are doing it. No, they're all part of the same system. That's what they are. So when it goes to VAR, everybody's involved in the VAR system. They can't get the decisions right. I would rather the referee get it wrong and I have to accept it.
Yeah.
Dan, as opposed to taking five, like the old days.
Yeah.
We grew up with that, didn't we?
Waiting 5 minutes, Dan, Lee, waiting 5 minutes for them to turn around and still not give the penalty when it's staring everybody in the face. It drives me up the wall.
Incompetence. It's incompetence. It is, mate. And, you know, something has got to be done with it, but I fear that we're going to see this for a while, guys. So, unfortunately, I think it's going to be...
ruining the game, though, Dan.
It is. No, you're right.
I am actually falling out of love with football, and I mean that, like, you know what I mean? I went and watched I'll tell you what, I went and watched a non-league game yesterday. 100 times better. There's tackles being thrown in there, like, you know what I mean? A bit of little scuffling and everything like that, right? But handbags, no one's getting split.
The referee's
the referee's giving out a couple of yellow cards. There's a bit of pushing and shoving. There's no one rolling around on the floor. And at the end of the day, you know, when a goal's scored, no one's looking at it and going, "Oh, we better go and have a look at VAR before we go." They're all just enjoying that moment.
Well, look at Chelsea and Liverpool today. Look at Chelsea and Liverpool today. They've been celebrating. They must feel their emotions must be all over the place. They've each celebrated 2 goals each and realised it ain't gone in, it ain't counted. They've had to watch 11 penalties each against them. It's just honestly, mate, it is wrong. He's right.
What I'm saying is, if they take VAR out of that game today, right? What a game of football that would have been. It'd have been about 3-3. Right, and then you'd have had all the penalties, and you would be talking about what a fantastic game,
one of the best finals ever. Yeah.
But what we're talking about is the incompetence of, is it there? Get rid of it, and then let's start enjoying our football again.
It's not fit for purpose.
Not fit for purpose.
I love it, guys. Right, we are going to move on because we are going to be talking about the Arsenal project, but we did have to get that in there because it was been a weekend of corruption, some are saying, not just in football. So let's talk about the Arsenal. Got a few questions to ask you boys tonight, and the first one is one that everyone keeps messaging me about, which has only happened a few minutes ago. That man, Aubameyang, has scored 5 goals in 3 games. He scored again. So let's discuss. Let's come to you first, Kev. I'm not going to go into it massively. I want to hear from your side of things first. He had to go. He fallen out with a manager, Aubameyang, and it feels weird bringing this up all the time. So I just want to bring it up one last time tonight, and then we'll just put it to bed. This is how I see it. It's done. We move on. He no longer plays for Arsenal. But do you know what? He's an elite striker and he will score goals. He scored goals everywhere that he's gone. So it's no shock to me that he's gone over to Barcelona in a different league, which is free-flowing, and he's got good players around him, and they're giving him chances, and he's putting them away. What's your thoughts on, oh my God, Aubameyang has left. It's a disgrace and a disaster. And of course, Mikel Arteta is getting some of the blame for that as well. Your thoughts, Kevin Campbell?
I just laugh, Dan. I just laugh. Look, here's the truth. Here's the reality of it. Aubameyang weren't doing that for us. That's the bottom line. He wasn't doing that for us. These same people who were talking about, oh, Aubameyang scoring goals for Barcelona, they're the ones who wanted him out the team. Because he weren't doing it. When he's not scoring, he doesn't bring anything to the table. XYZ. So, listen, at the end of the day, we do know Aubameyang is a class striker. He didn't want to be at Arsenal anymore. Let's get that out there straight away. He wanted out. He was captain of Arsenal Football Club, and he fell foul of the manager. Wouldn't come out and say he's committed to the football club, and couldn't wait to get out, which is fair enough. It's his right. He's done a good job at Arsenal previously. We move on. It's not exactly as if we haven't been doing okay without him. Let's be fair. We've been doing okay. Yeah, do we lack that little bit of prowess at the top end of the pitch? I think we do. Of course we do. But even when he was here, he wasn't showing that for us. So, listen, I can only wish Aubameyang well, but I am more than happy to move forward the way we are at Arsenal, and we're building something. We're building something really special, and that position at the top end of the pitch will be addressed in the summer. We all believe that, and if we could get top 4 while we're getting to get that striker in the summer, even better.
Lee, playing a little bit of devil's avocado. Do we have to look at things and say that Mikel Arteta couldn't get the best out of this player and he's now killing it at Barcelona, or is that just harsh on Mikel?
A little bit harsh on Mikel, I think. Right, who did they play against today? I know who they play against.
I have to look, but keep going and I'll find out.
Well, I think there's teams that the Spanish in Spain used to score more.
Athletic Bilbao,
yeah, Bilbao.
Right.
1-0 at the Camp Nou.
Right, okay, like, you know what I mean.
Not exactly a top team, are they?
Not exactly a top team, and listen, there's no easy games in the Premier League, as it's said. Watford yesterday, like, you know what I mean, like Ronaldo, probably the best striker in the world, missed chance after chance after chance. I don't know why it happens. At the end of it, I don't care if Aubameyang gets 60, 70 goals or whatever for them. I don't care. He's done a job for us in the past. He scored loads of goals for us, banged in loads of goals. It's just that his time would come to an end here. He didn't suit the style of play that we was going into. And when he left, or when he was left out of the side in December, I didn't hear nobody, all these people now getting on about Aubameyang going, oh, let's get him back in the team. Not one. I didn't hear one person saying, right, we want him back in the team. Now all of a sudden he's gone. Let's have a little bash at Mikel. Listen, we can bash Mikel if you want, or criticise him when things are going, when you don't win a game. But don't start trying to criticise him when you're going well, because you make yourself look silly. I will criticise Arteta when he's done things bad and all that, but at this moment in time he's not. And at the end of the day, I don't care. When Nicolas Anelka left Arsenal, I hoped he'd done well at Real Madrid and all that. The only ones that you don't want to do well are the ones that go to your rivals, like Van Persie and people like that. But ultimately, anybody that leaves Arsenal, I wish him well. I don't, he's done a fantastic job for Arsenal, Aubameyang. But I'm going to tell you this now. He might have felt, forget about Arteta, what about him? He might have felt let down. He might have felt let down by the club, because when he signed the contract, he might have been promised this and promised that, and he didn't get it. So, don't forget, when you look at this with Aubameyang, right, he's at the tail end of his career. So the likes of Saka, likes of Smith Rowe, you can say, yeah, we've got a couple of years before but Aubameyang's going to turn around, he's going to go, oh, hold on a minute.
I haven't got the time.
I'm finished then, like, you know what I mean? But you promised me this and that when I signed. So I don't think it's all down to Mikel. I don't think it's all down to Aubameyang. I think at the end of the day, parting of the wave was going to happen. And for whatever reason, no one's come out and said the truth from Arteta's side. No one's come out from Aubameyang's side. So at the end of the day, they've both shook hands and probably said, look, I want this and you want that. Let's move on. And every time he scores a goal for Barcelona, we're going to get this over. Well, listen, let me tell you this. He's still a quality striker that can finish goals, and Barcelona are a decent team. So what's going to happen? He's not going to score enough. And really, are people hoping that he's not going to score in Barcelona? I'm not. I'm glad he's scoring. It's the fact of the matter is that we're winning over here. It's a win-win, isn't it? Good luck to him. Like, I hope he goes on and wins things for Barcelona. Do you know why? Because he's done a bloody good job for us.
That's the way I look at it, Lee, if I'm honest with you. Aubameyang, I still like him. I love what he did at Arsenal. I love the goals that he scored. And I still thank him for the FA Cup that he got us in 2020, because he was absolutely instrumental. But things didn't work out between him and the manager. He had to go. And I'm not going to sit there and start crying because he's now scoring in Barcelona. Because if I'm honest with you two boys, I never thought he was washed up. And I thought he'd do exactly what he's doing at Barcelona now. So why can I sit there and cry and be shocked? Because I thought it was going to happen. He's an elite striker. He's the type of player you want, one-on-one running down at goal. And Barcelona play that free-flowing style. So I expect him to score. Let's move on. That's something we do need to do, is move on from Aubameyang. So let's move on from that convo. Let's talk a little bit positively. Kev, I'll come to yourself first. The Arsenal project Some are saying it's starting to click. Some are saying they're starting to see why the mentality was brought in from Mikel Arteta with some of these players. Wolves away, Wolves at home. Even the Brentford game was all games where we just kind of dug in there and got over the line in the end, and we took 3 points. And the Wolves at home game was just something that we all loved to see in the last minute. It was fantastic. And of course, the fans and the players seem to have a little bit more of a telepathy now. So when people say to you, to yourselves, Kev, this is what we're all been waiting for, and this is what we're starting to see now. What are people trying? What do you think people mean by that when they say those words? This is starting to happen now.
Yeah, I just think there's that connection, that eye test, because the eye test is very important, Dan. You know, some fans don't see the project until it actually appears in front of them. Because at the end of the day, when Mikel Arteta was brought into the club, there was a lot of poor players. It was a poor dressing room. It was a poor culture. It really was. And that needed to be addressed. But it's amazing how all of a sudden now they see it. What you should see is the rot that was going on in the house. It needed refurbishing. It needed tidying up. Now the house is starting to look a little bit more like a home. Yeah, it's not finished yet, that's for sure. But you know, a lot of the rot's gone. We got new windows in. We got new kitchen in. You know what I mean? We got the lawn's been laid. It's starting to look a little bit more like a home. So
like Lee Judge's new gaff, isn't it?
Well, there you go. I think the eye test is really important for fans, Dan. I think the eye test to see what's going on. I think what was important as well was, especially in January, where we didn't sign anybody.
Yeah.
A lot of fans were like worried about, you know, what we're going to do. You know, we've got a depleted squad. I made references to our bench probably looking like a advert for Mothercare, because we might need some of them babies on the bench. But what has happened? The team have stepped up. Mikel Arteta's trusted the team. He's trusting the culture that he's building. And the key for anything, Dan, is results.
Yeah.
We had a bad January. All of a sudden, February comes. And remember, the boys went off to Dubai. They came back. 5 winnable games, we said, didn't we? 5 winnable games. Well, we're at 3 right now. Next one's going to be obviously Watford. That's going to be a tough game. That's not easy, but it's a winnable game for this Arsenal squad. If we could get 5 wins out of 5, that puts us in a real strong position, because you can see us in the league. We are in a good position, but we have to capitalize on some of those teams who have dropped points. We have to pick up those wins to push up that table. And you know what? We've got to be looking at Chelsea. Once we hit 4th, our eyes have to be on Chelsea, not looking behind us.
Yeah, Lee, I've got to come to you on it, because we talk about the project and the process. And you and I, listen, we don't mind admitting it. We've had some doubts. We've had some concerns, without a doubt, about what we've been seeing on the pitch and some of the decisions that Mikel's made and above him have made also. One thing you can't deny, and I said this on a few podcasts of late, one thing you cannot deny is whether you believe in the process, whether you like what you're seeing on the pitch, that the players and the manager seem to be on the same level. And there's definitely a connect with the fans more, isn't there, mate?
100% there is. And that's been there all season. And I'll tell you what, Kevin makes a fantastic point about the eye. And it's great saying that, but at times you're so into the game or into just getting the result that you don't actually see what's going on in front of you. And
the emotion takes over, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm going to be guilty of that, because I come away from that game on Thursday night, didn't think that we played that well. I was looking at him thinking, I never looked like breaking them down, never like this, never. It wasn't until I got back and watched the game without the emotion of it that you realise how well we did play that day. We carved them open on numerous occasions, a lot more than what West Ham did today, by the way. A lot more than that. We had a lot more play. But ultimately, we give away one silly mistake, which can happen in a game, but you sort of think, you know, you're going mad about it. So I do think that there is something in that. I agree with what you're saying there about the players have been fantastic all the way through with that connection of the fans. That hadn't been there for a few years, Dan. I can tell you that now. Like, you know what I mean? I've been to Old Trafford a few years ago under Arsene Wenger when not one player come up They all walked off and all that. Now they're all coming over, win, lose or draw. So I do think that's happening. And also, what I will say is that I have not been convinced that Mikel has. I still stand by what I say. He is very, very fortunate to be in the job after what happened last season and all that. But I see him now doing things that I want him to do, i.e. 1-1 against Wolves, bringing off a fullback and putting on a forward. He hasn't done that. He's been very, very cautious on things like that. So he is learning. He's making decisions that may have gone against him. But ultimately, I'm thinking, do you know what? He deserved that little bit of praise. He deserved the substitutions, by the way, in that game on Thursday turned the game. They're not down to him. He's the one that's made those decisions. I've criticised Eddie left, right, and centre, and I'm not the only one. I can tell you that now. He was superb when he came on. He really was. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously Pepe. You know, we can mention about Pepe. He come on and changed the game. Now that is a manager that's turned around to them two guys. Must be saying things behind the scenes, going right. This is your time. Come on and do it. And they've done it. So there are a lot of things. Now Kevin's been very, very vocal for Mikel for a very long while. Got a lot of criticism by it. You know what I mean? But he obviously see it a lot more than some of us, because probably some of us are more emotional about it than others. And listen, we're humans. We've got different emotions. You know what I mean? What's the most important? I'll tell you what. I watched a game, funny enough, on like that revisited thing the other day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was Ipswich versus Sunderland. It was back here. Ali McCoy's making his debut as 18-year-old for
Sunderland.
For Sunderland. Unbelievable. Ipswich were the year before top, Sunderland in the relegation. It ends up 3-3, right? It is end-to-end stuff. It was a great game to watch for a neutral. Now, if I'm watching that game, I'm going to be like, oh, defence is crap, this and that. We've dropped points and whatever. But ultimately, football is about entertainment as well. And sometimes you're not going to get the result. Look at Manchester United yesterday. All over Watford, really. Come on, you know what I mean? It was a mismatch. They didn't win the game. So there's going to be the times like Burnley. But the emotions of what you do and what you see, Dan, are going to take over from that. Like, I don't care if we play crap and we win 1-0. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? That's the worst. And I get people going, well, it's not sustainable. It's not this and that. I get everything that everybody's saying, like, you know. But ultimately, at this moment in time, we're winning games. Not as comfortable as we should be, but we're winning. And winning can cover up loads of things. And I'm not going to deny it. And I don't care. And I'm proud of it. I am an emotional fan. I go on game to game. If Arsenal play well and Mikel does well, I'll say fantastic. If he's not done well, it's Chris. I'm looking at Mikel. I'm looking over it the other day when we're 1-0 down. I'm cursing him. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I've got Paul in the shop yesterday singing the Follow song, and he's a West Ham fan, like, you know what I mean? Because that's how I am. And do you know what? I don't care that I'm like that. With Arsenal winning, I'm happy. I don't care who's playing, and I don't care who's scoring the goals, and I don't care who the manager is. If we're winning games of football, that's all I'm happy about. And I'll tell you what, I've watched two teams today, Liverpool and Chelsea. They're better than us at this moment in time. They are. But we're getting there. We're not far off of them. You know what I mean? Like, we're 2 or 3 players away from challenging these teams. 3 or 4. You know what I mean? That's all.
There we go. And I must say this, Casey, like, I've been very, very critical. I have. But sometimes you have to take the emotion out of it and look at what he has done well. And I have massive concerns still. I'm not one of these, everything's rosy. We've beaten Wolves, so it's job done. There's a long way to go in this competition. And I'm talking about a competition as being the Premier League as the table itself. There's a lot of teams in for this top 4 race that I think we're better than. But also, we still do need to make some improvements. Now, we know our problems in the final third, and of the last couple of games, we've started to see goals by committee, which you and I called upon to happen, and it's starting to happen. We saw Lacazette, after me and you talking on Highbury Squad about him stepping up, we saw him stepping up, so he obviously listens to me and you, Casey. Yeah. So when I look at that, I think there's some positives from what we've seen over in the last couple of games. But what I need to give Arteta credit for, and I don't always, agree with some of the stuff he's done, the removing of the culture has definitely improved this squad, 100%, right? The recruitment has improved us. A lot of people said in the transfer window in the summer that actually hasn't upgraded our first 11. Well, I think that has proven to be the case. Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Ben White and Ødegaard have taken us forward this season. Whether you love them or hate them, it's true. It's factual, right? So they're the things we have to take, we have to give him credit for. But we need to see now, Casey, in my opinion, some changes in our final third. So we need to start seeing the goals. Now, if Brentford and Wolves are anything to go by, of course, we're going to see different opposition set up differently. But we found a way to break both teams down, even though it was very, very difficult. Now, we have to take some positives from that. Where do you see, as a massive supporter of Arteta and the process, where do you see some of our flaws so far for us to try and overcome those hurdles in the coming months towards the end of the season?
Yeah, I still think we're not clinical enough, Dan, if I'm honest with you. We play some really good football back to front, and then we get in the last third and we stutter. I think Lacazette has been maybe guilty of missing some real key chances. You know, one specific one was the Burnley one, where we win that game, and there probably wouldn't be any stopping us. But, you know, I could say, look, Martinelli's come in, he's done a good job. But again, we're relying on the youngsters. Saka's had his moments. I think we've all discussed Saka. If Saka could add more goals to his game, he scores against Brentford, and that game against Wolves was a lot more difficult for him. Was a lot more difficult for Martinelli. You know, ESR is our top goal scorer. A lot of his goals have come from the bench. It's quite crazy. He's a dynamic player, very good player. But our strikers are not our killers. You know, our striker is not our killer. So we have to do it by committee. Even Gabriel coming up with a goal at Wolves away was key for us. So I think we're still going to have to rely on that, Dan, unless Lacazette maybe could start scoring and get streaky. That would be really interesting. But for me, I just think we have to keep this group together. We just have to keep our eye on that prize. And like Lee says, it don't matter, and I don't care if we win 1-0. I'll take winning cures everything, Dan, as far as I'm concerned. If you win, we win 5 games, we win 6 games, we win 7 games on the spin. That then puts a lot of other teams under huge pressure. And maybe I don't think the way they're going, that a lot of these other teams could sustain that. But I think we've got the next 2 are definitely winnable for us anyway. And then we push on to probably some more difficult games where we might have to lean on our back 4 a lot, or back 5 a lot more. So, look, I want Lacazette to start scoring again now. I think we need it. We need him to step up in the goal scoring phase. That's as far as I'm concerned. I think Martinelli will come in and get goals against different teams because Wolves have a good defense. I think Saka will get goals. I think ESR will get goals. Probably need Lacazette and Ødegaard maybe to Ødegaard probably could do, although he's been playing absolutely exceptional.
The goals and assists. Yeah,
we probably could do with Ødegaard getting another 3 or 4 goals. That would help us.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. And I think, as you say, goals by committee is something that we do need. There's over 800 of you watching live. Please smash the like button. Please hit the subscribe button and support the channel. And if you have got any questions for us, put a little Q in the chat and we'll get some questions going. Lee, go on, mate. You look like you want to say something.
No, I think that these next couple of games are so key to us because if you look at Manchester United's next 3 games, Manchester City, they've got Manchester City, Liverpool and Tottenham in those 3 games. You know what I mean?
And so, they've got Atletico Madrid and Leicester as well.
In there. So, you know, if we can win our games in there, they were not going to win. They will drop points. You know what I mean? Like, so we can't afford to drop points against Watford away and Leicester at home and probably even Aston Villa away now. If we could get another 9 points in these next, all of a sudden, you've got yourselves into a position where we can go to Chelsea, we can go to Tottenham, we can play at home against Liverpool, not necessarily having to win those games. We can draw, we can afford to draw them. So we want to be in that position now, to get into that position, win these games, so they're key. Going back to what I think, it's not just Mikel that's doing a good job getting the fans and the players on side. Look at that advert that come out this week with Ramsdale. It's an absolute, it's a banger. It's a banger, and that gets everybody involved in. Oh, look at that! You know what I mean? With what's done,
the community, the Arsenal community, isn't it? Yeah,
it's very, very clever, Kev. It's very, very clever, and Arsenal started to make that.
But Lee, don't forget. You remember when it was COVID? I think Arsenal went out and helped a lot of the local.
Yeah. They've always done that, Kev. They've always.
So that is absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Always been like that. They've always been a club with classy players at there that have always had that little bit of time for you in the right times. If they're out and about, you can go up to them. They're all like, even now, if you meet one of the old players, they're willing to say, talk about the Arsenal and whatever. Like, there's a thing about these ex-players, even some of them that have not had a great end to their Arsenal career, still love the Arsenal. So there's something about the football club that gets you there. And we're getting that back now. And I don't know why that was lost. Maybe because it went from the Emirates and it was a big stadium. I don't know what went wrong.
It's the type of player we recruit.
Type of player, maybe
no,
on all
not
that.
maybe, it is.
It is. Right, okay. But it's changing now. I can like go to a game now and go, do you know what? I'm looking forward to watching Saka play. I'm looking forward to seeing Ramsdale. I'm looking forward to whoever it'll be. The other great thing about Wednesday night was that the younger players didn't necessarily turn up and play that well. I didn't say they played bad, but it was the experienced guys.
Experienced players, yeah.
It was Xhaka, Partey, and Lacazette that pushed us through over that line on that game. And that was fantastic to see. We're not going to get it all the time. We know that, but ultimately, I like our way we're defending now. I don't care what anybody says about it, Kev. I'm hold me hands, slap me hands, or whatever. When Ben White gives away the ball and then trips the Wolves player and that, I'm loving it. I'm loving that, you know what I mean? I'm loving Ramsdale going up to that Neves at the end of the game and giving it to him. You know what I mean? Like giving it to him. Rightly so. You've got to have that little bit of nasty. You've got to have that little bit of edge in your game. Yeah. You have to. You know what I mean? If you go into somebody else's backyard and play football, you don't let them take all over. You have to be nasty to them. And whether you mean it or you don't, it's what football's about. You know, I've been taught that when I played, like, get in their faces, wind them up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's been going on for years. All of a sudden, Arsenal are doing that. You know what I mean? You don't think that if he come out with what he said, because we got under his skin. Mm-hmm. I love it. And that's something that we're showing. So all things like that are good, like, you know. So I'm a big thing of, you know, I've had conversations with Kevin about this, you know, as an away fan goes to away fan, I want to see my players come up at the end of the day, whether we've won, lost or draw, and appreciate. I used to be jealous. I honestly used to be jealous of Liverpool fans when I see Klopp and all that going over there, and I said, why can't we be like that? We're like that now. And I don't care what anybody says. People used to say to me, oh, it ain't the end of the world or whatever. It is. It's a big thing. Yeah. It's a big thing.
No, I'm with you, Lee. 100%.
Dan, can I ask you two a question?
Go on.
I've got a question for you two guys. Do you know, a lot of people talk about characters. You know, characters are going out the game. Do you think this Arsenal side right now, characters are emerging?
Yeah, I think so. And it's a question I put to yourself, Lee, and Sophie and Tom the other night about who's the leader in this side, and nobody could give me one name. Now, some people will say that's because there isn't one that stands out, but actually it's probably, I would argue, because there's quite a few now that you would look at and go, do you know what? I can see what Martin Odegaard brings on the pitch in terms of leadership. I love what Kieran Tierney does in terms of his mentality. I think Ben White and Gabriel definitely showed some attributes which I could see taking forward. Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka and Lacazette the other night certainly showed senior head leadership skills, which, let's be honest, is something Granit Xhaka hasn't been able to do for a while, but we saw it the other day. So Ramsdale, you know, you just spoken about your chips. We love that. But actually you see that's come from his mentality on the pitch. And without that he did at Leicester, that advert wouldn't have even been made up. So you've seen those attributes come through, and you've seen that mentality on the pitch. And I think that's what I meant by removing the culture, but also recruiting to something new by Mikel Arteta and Edu. I've got to give Edu a credit for that as well, because we believe that them two are a team when they come to their recruitment. So I think that's a great question, Kevin. That's how I'll answer it, because I do see characters on that pitch now. 100%.
I'm with you, Dan. I see character. Just take Tommy Asu for a start. Like, you know, is he a character? Does everybody like Tommy Asu?
Yeah.
I think they do. Why? Because no one knew of him, but he's come in and done the business. So straight away, what are you going to do? You're going to like that, aren't you? So that's straight away. First and foremost, before you become a character, you've got to become a player. You've got to be liked. You know what I mean? Now, Kevin will tell you this. They're always Arsenal fans will always support the youngsters more that have come through the ranks, because that's how it is. You know what I mean? Like, we're always going to, like, you know, when you say who's your favourite, you know, Saka and Smith Rowe.
Homegrown.
But Martinelli doesn't get that same affection. Not being nasty towards Martinelli here, but because Martinelli's not come from Howe End. He's not one of their own. But I'll tell you what, everybody loves Martinelli because he's had to come in and do the business, and that's what he's done. Tommy Asu's come from, I've never heard of Tommy Asu. I love him. You know what I mean? He's a fantastic footballer. You know, Ben White is making things now. Gabriel's become a character, but I'm telling you that now, his performances first, you know, and I don't care what you say about Tierney. At times I moan about him because he's only got a t-shirt on and all that. But, you know, it's not just because he wears a t-shirt and no act when it's -1. He is putting in performances, isn't he? Like, you know what I mean? So you have to get the performances first before the character comes along. And we've got 3 or 4 now. And I look around at football, Kev, there ain't the same characters that there used to be.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, there isn't. You know what I mean? I think the way
has changed.
Way football doesn't allow that so much now. But if you look,
captains as well has changed, Lee, hasn't it? The captains have changed. You don't see Vieiras and Keanes anymore, you know.
I think if you go into any sport now, if you look at tennis, the characters are not the same as in tennis.
Yeah, true.
They're not the same in cricket no more, because the culture of the game's changed. The game has changed. It's not character. You know, like you can go back to the 70s, there was probably even more. But like, you know, there isn't that culture now of it. I don't know why. I think maybe because the game.
But Lee, this is why I asked this question. It's really important. You look at all the top teams. You could name the players who have the character. You can go through the team and look at the characters. Why do they have the characters? Because they're winners.
Yeah.
That's why we need characters to emerge. And we're starting to see the characters starting to emerge.
Yeah.
We haven't got a full squad of players yet to be able to challenge. But I'm liking what I'm seeing with these characters starting to emerge.
It's a great
I think
point.
you're right, Kev. I think it's a great point, Casey. It really is. We have got some questions because we've got quite a few. I'm going to ask one of us each. I'm going to put it to one of us each instead of us all answering. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So the first one, Casey, I'll put to you. Right, is who is key for Arsenal now until the end of the season? If you could only pick one player.
Gabriel is key, and I'll tell you why. We are going to be playing a lot of teams where we're expected to win. We're going to have to keep the back door shut. When Gabriel isn't there, Ben White is not the same player. We are going to have to go into some games where we're going to have to really lean on this back 5. We're really going to have to. And of all those quality players at the back that we've got, I think the kingpin to all of that is Gabriel. If he performs, I think that back 5 performs just as well as he does. We're not easy. We're a lot stronger. And you know what? We've been keeping clean sheets. We keep clean sheets in the big games. We will win those games. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's Gabriel.
I think it's a great shout. And do you know what? Everybody laughed at me when I said this, but he's actually my player of the season. And people say, but he got sent off against Man City and he gave the goal away against Wolves. I don't care. The guy's been immense. Most of this season, he's been immense. So I think it's a great shout, KC. Lee, let me put this on to you.
Just one point on Gabriel. It's all when you make a mistake, it's how you respond from that. He responded.
Didn't he respond?
Character.
Didn't he respond?
Character.
Okay, didn't well. That's a good sign. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question is for Lee. When everybody is on form in an Arsenal shirt, we all play 10 out of 10. Who is our best player?
Ooh.
Does that make sense? You got that?
Yeah. Who's our best player? I'm going to have to say it. Saka. I think Saka is just. I just love. I think. I love Martinelli, but I just think Saka to me, he's just got everything. I think he's got mentality, he's got personality, he can do anything on a football field. I think, and if he's having a 10 out of 10, he's scoring goals, isn't he? So I just think, yeah, Saka. I do, you know what I mean? That's harsh on a couple of others because I don't really
Yeah,
like.
it's hard. It's a hard question. It's a hard question. I'm gonna let myself and Kev answer this one as well because I think it's a good question. Kev, who would you say?
Yeah, playing at the top of their game, Thomas Partey.
See, I'm with you. I'm with you,
Partey's our
Casey.
best player.
Yeah.
For instance, the Manchester City game was probably our best game, and he was head and shoulders above, wasn't he? He was head and shoulders. Saka was quality on the day as well, but I think Saka's going to grow to be an absolute monster. He's young, he's talented, he's got everything going for him. So Lee, that's a good point. But I just think at the top of their game, there's nobody around like Thomas Partey.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue. I think he's,
It's a good question though because there's a few in there. There's a few people. So we can all answer this one as well because it's another good one. Whose ceiling is higher?
We're going to be here right then. Is that right?
No, we're not. We're not. This is the last one we're all doing together. Whose ceiling is higher? Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka, or Martinelli? Kev, you can start.
Ceiling is higher. Wow, it's. I think they all could be world class. I think they all could be world class. That's for sure. I think in the end, it might be Martinelli.
Yeah.
Here's the reason why. I think in the end, Martinelli's going to end up as a number 9. He's not a number 9 now, but I think in the end, he will end up as a number 9. And you know what happens with number 9s? Once they go in there and they start banging goals in, that ceiling, when you're scoring them goals, fair enough, a wide man could get a fair amount of goals, but when you're a number 9 doing it, you're held in a different esteem. I just think Martinelli. I think Saka and Smith-Rowe are not far behind of their ceiling, but it's that number 9 spot that I think Martinelli's going to end up and be devastating at. That's my opinion.
I'm going to agree, Lee. I say Martinelli has got the highest ceiling out of the 3 of them, and it's weird saying that because it makes you sound as if you don't rate Saka and Smith-Rowe. But I think the 3 of them are going to be exceptional. I just think with what Kev said and what I've seen potentially with Gabriel Martinelli, I think the guy could be absolute genius at work. What about you, Lee?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I just think he's got one thing that the other 2 haven't got, and that is genuine pace. And I think that he is like a whippet as well as what he's got. So he's got that development of the skill factor and everything like that. All the other, like Saka's a great player, can work on it. I'll be very surprised that if they have a race that Martinelli doesn't win it. And I don't think that matter how much training you're doing, whatever you can't get that pace. And I think that is the key. That is the key for me. He's got everything going for him.
Do you know what, guys? We have to keep these guys together. Could you imagine them maturing together?
Oh, it'd be awesome.
And putting the pieces around them, man. I'm telling you, these guys are going to save the club a hell of a lot of money. They already are.
Yeah, I think you're bang on, man. Let's get some questions from the chat that have come in of late. We have one here from Jabulo who says, I'll put this one to you, Lee Judges. I personally think Eddie Nketiah is not good enough for Arsenal, but Arteta seems to trust him. Would it be stupid of him to not sign a new contract?
Listen, he's not good enough for Arsenal to start up and be the main man. I still think he's got a role to play as a squad player. I think he's only young. I don't think that at this moment in time, if he was to go anywhere else, and I'll be really honest, if he went anywhere else in the Premier League, he's not going to be the number 1 striker. So why wouldn't you want to be the number 1 striker? What's the point of going to Burnley or going to
as a squad player,
Aston Villa, wherever? Why not be at Arsenal? So I think he'd be mad if he doesn't sign that contract. I don't think he's ready to be the number one striker at this moment in time. He's got a couple of years where he can fill out, he can learn off of people here, still get his games if Arsenal are in Europe and things like that. I think he'd be mad not to sign. I really do. But he's not good enough at this moment in time to say, I'm the number one striker. He needs to learn his game and everything like that. But I think he could do a job for Arsenal as a squad player. But I think, if he goes to a championship club, he might get a run out of first team games. Because I noticed the other day, he started to fill out a little bit more than what he was at the beginning of the season. But for me, that's how I feel about it.
Fair enough. Kev, let me put this one to you. This is from Willie Moyes. He says, great show, guys. My question is, we all want European football next season, but do you think not having it this year has been good for the team to concentrate on the Premier League?
Yes, Willie, that's a good question. Yes, I think it has been good for the team. I think what's been important is Mikel Arteta could coach during the week. I think that's really important. There's been times where it seems like we haven't been that team, Dan, that's for sure. And it seems as though, 1 minute we're up and next minute we're down. Opportunities were being presented to us and we couldn't take them at the time. But I think now after that terrible January we had a good December, we had a terrible January, and here we are. This is the business end of the season now. This is where it really matters. And it looks like the team is stepping up. So I think it really has helped us not having European football, although we want it after this season, that's for sure. In whatever, we don't want that Mickey Mouse one, but Champions League or Europa, obviously, if we can't get Champions League, we'll take it. But I just think these youngsters and our squad at the moment are doing us proud right now. So, yeah. They could prepare properly for games. Yeah.
Fair play. Let's have a look at this one from Paul James. He says, if, and it's a big if, when dealing with the Cronkies, the Arteta is given £180 million to invest in the squad in the summer and we buy wisely, can we finally challenge for the league title next season? Kev, I'll ask you that one first and I'll come to Lee.
I think the next moves have to be, look, because if we're pushing for fourth right now or third, because Chelsea are in third and they're not far above, we get that spot. We definitely have to be looking to fatten our squad and bring in the right guys at the top end of the pitch to get competition to challenge. Not saying we're going to win it, although we want to win it, but we have to be able to challenge. And the only way we're going to challenge is by getting a hungry squad of players who, when we do take 2, 3, 4 players out, like we do in the FA Cup, we are just as strong. Not that we're so weak that we go out against Southampton last season and we go out against Forest this season. We've got to really have like-for-like players. 2 players in every position. That's what we need. And they have to be strong. So, yeah, 180 million, how you spend it is key because some of the names we didn't even know and they've come in and made a real difference. So let's not look at, we want this one, that one, that one. Let's trust. I trust in what they've done so far. And I'm sure they're looking at the right type of player.
Fair play. Lee Judges, let's put this one to you. It's a great friend of the show, Graham Brooks. Hope you're well, mate. Lee says, do you think the change to the 4-3-3 system with Xhaka as an advanced left-sided number 8 to the detriment of what Tierney offers up high, as it's reducing the moments he goes up high? Graham, as ever, the stats man over here. But I totally am with him. I think this 4-3-3 system is quite evident now, Lee.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, and I like the like you cannot knock Granit Xhaka's performance on Thursday. I liked it. He drove from deep and got in there. And if he had a little bit of extra pace or something, maybe he'd be able to get on the end of a few things. But I like the way that he done that. I don't think also that we should be relying on our fullbacks as our outlets.
Outlet, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we probably relied a little bit too much. So by playing this system, it allows us to use Tierney. Definitely still use him, but we're not. It's not the go-to thing all the time. I like the way Martinelli gets involved with it a little bit more. Like Xhaka's getting involved with it. I like the way that they move the ball quickly to get it to Tierney, then he gets it to Martinelli quickly, and then we've got a one-on-one situation, which we haven't had a little bit before. And then if Martinelli is being held up, then you've got Tierney making that overlapping run. So I do think that it benefits us at the moment. I've always felt that that Arteta's wanted to go down this route of a 4-3-3, and he's not quite, if I'll be honest, not quite got the personnel at this moment in time to do it. But you can see that it's definitely a more encouraging sort of system for us. And I'm going to be honest about it, boys. Until I watched the game back the other day, I didn't realise how many times we actually opening up teams. We've done it against Brentford and we've done it against Wolves. I know that those are teams you're going to say only against those teams, but they're important ones because they're the ones that are going to put in the blocks of 4s and 5s. When you play teams, it's like, you know, I said, someone said, you're watching the Spurs game. I said, I ain't going to watch the Spurs game because they're going to win that game because it's not leads are too open. So it's when we play teams that are going to come at us, it'll suit us. Yeah. But also it means that when these teams are playing blocks like they are, we can get in and around them. It's not just one way of doing it. And that's what I quite like with that. It's got a little bit of flexibility to it.
Lee, have you heard lately, have you heard anybody asking for creativity in the Arsenal team?
No, not so much.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same players, no new players have come in, and that creativity shout has absolutely gone. Because we do have creative players.
Yeah, we do. And I think, I'm going to be honest, Kev, I do think that our decision-making in the final third's got to improve. I think that's
100%, yeah.
Quite right. But I think that will come with maturity and experience. So I think that decisions will be made in the right areas at some stage. But at the moment, that needs to improve. But, you know, I mean, what Mikel has decided, and I think it's right, if I'll be honest, to get the foundations from the back, get that solid, get the midfield done, and then he's going to look at the strikers. That's what I think he's going to do anyway.
Yeah,
like, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think you're right.
And then, you know, then we'll probably see a little bit better from that point.
2 questions left. One of them's a super chat. Nathan, big up yourself. Nathan, thank you so much for the super chat. I'll take this one. If you could sign 5 players, blimey, that would be nice, and get rid of 5 players in the summer, who would you sign and get rid of? Okay, who would I get rid of first? I mean, Laka and Eddie are going to go, but they're not going to get any money for them. In my opinion, I think we're going to give.
That's 2.
So that's 2. But if I was to get rid of 5 to try and look at getting some money in, then I suppose Leno would be one because we've got Matt Turner. Bellerin would be another one because he's on loan and doesn't look to have a future. Granit Xhaka would be another one because I don't see that he's our future. I think that we need an upgrade in that position. So that's 3. And then I'd probably look at getting rid of Torreira because he's still on loan. And then probably El Neni, although I think he's probably on a free as well. But let's just go with them.
Contracts up. What about Guendouzi?
I would try and keep Guendouzi personally because I quite like the potential that he's got. And I think that if he was to come back and want to have the attitude of I'm here to grow in this team, I think he's got potential in terms of his talent. I just don't really see that happening, KC. So maybe Guendouzi's one to go out the door because I think Arteta's made his mind up. So that would be the 5. If I could bring 5 in, listen, I'd love to get the Haalands and the Bellinghams and all these people, but I think we need to be realistic. I would go with a right back. I think we need an attacking right back and an upgrade on Cedric, who, by the way, has been quite good the last couple of games, but I think we need an upgrade. I'd love Tariq Lamptey at Brighton. I think the kid looks exceptional. I think the ceiling is massively high. And I think that that's the sort of player we need to compete with Tomiyasu because Tomiyasu's our holding kind of defensive right back. I still feel that we need one that can fly forward and give us some creativity going forward. So I go for Tariq Lamptey. In the middle, to replace the Xhakas and El Nenis, I really like Kessie. I think Kessie from AC Milan would be a massive, massive upgrade on what we've got. And I believe is a free transfer in the summer. So one that I think we could do. Yeah. So that for me would be fantastic. That's 2. If Leeds go down, I'd go and get Calvin Phillips. I think Calvin Phillips is that anchor that would allow Thomas Partey to be more of that box to box. Because although we're seeing Thomas Partey as an anchor right now and it seems to be okay working, I still feel Thomas Partey can do a lot more going up and down like a Gilberto Silva or Patrick Vieira did. And then I'm going to go with 2 centre forwards. I'm going to go with Kevin, man. I like me for saying this, but I'm going to go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and I'm going to go with Alexander Isak because I feel like one is a target man and one is a goal machine potentially. So they're the 5 that I'll go with. And I've tried to do that quickly because I understand you need to sit down and look at that properly if you're going to be going 5 ins and 5 outs. Any names of people you feel I've missed, boys, that you'd like to see incoming?
I think someone just mentioned in the chat, Tillemans. I wouldn't mind seeing him coming to the Arsenal. I'm going to say it now. Basuma.
Yeah, I like Basuma.
It's a great shout. Basuma's a great shout.
So I mean, you could take your pick up top. Jonathan David. He looks to be a handful.
Yeah.
Up there, DCL. I mean, you could take any. We do need 2 strikers. That's for sure. Yeah. We need 2 strikers. So out of them 3, you could take 2 of them.
Yeah.
And interesting.
And you've got to be realistic about it because I'd love to have Haaland. Of course we would. But I think Calvert-Lewin is probably one of the better target men to look at. And I think then you've got your striker, whether it be Isak or a lot of people in the chat are saying names that you've just mentioned, like Jonathan David, stuff like that. But I think you need to be realistic about this as well. Look, Dominic Calvert-Lewin wouldn't be my first choice. Neither would Ivan Toney. But you know what? Could be one.
Gallagher would be a good one, the Chelsea player. I think he'll end up playing a lot of games for Chelsea. I quite like him. What he's doing, and
they'll probably loan him out again next season.
Yeah, Southampton up front. I think I'll give him a punt as well.
This is a good shout as well, Lee. João Felix from Atletico Madrid, another good shout.
Jude Bellingham apparently said some really nice words about Arsenal today.
Yeah, well, that always helps. I'd love him. I think he looks top draw. I really do. I really like this kid a lot. So
and he's so young as well. Yeah. Fits into the model.
Fits into the profile exactly, So some options there, be interested, you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. Atul, thank you so much for your super chat as well. Oh, go on, Lee.
The Southampton centre forward. I don't know his name.
Broja.
I'll give him as well. A bit too young, but another Chelsea player though. Can't see them wanting to do too much business with us. No, I don't.
If we're challenging them, mate.
They might have to, though. They might have to if they've got no money.
Well, let's not go into that politics. Kev, what about this from Atul? Thanks for the super chat, mate. If Haaland has a release clause and we qualify for the Champions League, do you think Arteta and Ødegaard could persuade him?
Realistically, no. But that would be a dream, wouldn't it? To be able to get somebody of his caliber at the top end of the pitch to play with Ødegaard, who's obviously national team teammate. That would be perfect for us. Somebody like him who is going to get 20 goals. He is going to get 20 goals. I would love it to happen. And people would take the Arsenal very, very serious if you had somebody like him at the top end of the pitch. But unfortunately, I think his agent and stuff, they've been around Europe and speaking to people for probably 18 months now. So I think summer's going to prove he's going to go to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or somewhere like that. I think the deal will be probably done.
I think I agree, if I'm honest with you. Last question of the night is this. Lee, let's start with you. When does Mikel Arteta deserve a new Arsenal contract?
At the end of the season. See where he is. And if he comes 5th to Man United, I'll give it to him. But if it's 5th to West Ham, Tottenham or someone like that, then I wouldn't. I don't know if I'm convinced that Mikel can take us. He can take us so far, then go on. I'm not sure about that at this moment in time. I think this next 6 months is massive for him and Arsenal Football Club.
Good answer, Kev. What about yourself?
Dan, you could just give it to him now, because the contracts mean nothing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good point.
Do you know what I mean? The contracts mean nothing. Look, will Mikel Arteta take us to the promised land? I can't honestly tell you yes, Dan. I can't tell you yes because I don't know. Do I like what I'm seeing at the moment? Yeah, I do. I know we're a bit light on personnel. I know we need a lethal striker. We need another midfielder here. We need some cover at right back. There's some players that we need. So it doesn't matter whether you give him the contract now or in the summer. We still need those players. Do you understand what I mean? There's that culture, that connection, that feeling that we've got back between the fan base and the team, the manager. People are starting to see it now. I like that. So why wait? It doesn't matter. Give him the contract now. And do you know what? If it goes pear-shaped, you're only going to sack him anyway. So I don't think it matters, Dan, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, and it's a good point, to be fair, because contracts don't mean as much as they used to, and nobody really seems to respect them, particularly managers. And it's not the manager that doesn't respect him; it's actually above them and out of their hands, as you say. So he could sign a new contract for 5 years doesn't mean he's going to be with us for 5 years. So I kind of get that, Casey. I think what would probably be fair would be to wait to the end of the season to where we are. I'm with Lee. I don't think we should be jumping the gun and saying, yep, we've beaten Wolves now. Get that contract signed. We want you here for 5 years. I just think let's just calm down, see where we are at the end of the season. If we get fourth, I think he's done a great job. If we come outside of that, I don't think he's done a great job, because I look around us at the moment and I think that fourth place has to happen. We want the Champions League. It's open for us. We've got no other distractions. It's one game a week, and I'd love to see it. And do you know what? I think Sophie said as well, that humble pie is in the oven. It's cooking nicely.
I've got one for you here. Hey, Dan, don't worry about that. I've got a big one here for you as well, mate.
We can all slice it up and eat it. I love it. If it's cherry with some custard, I'll be all right. If it tastes like corned beef.
Get what you want. It's exactly what you want, mate.
Yeah. There we go. That's what we hope. Guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. There's been well over 1,100 of you in the chat watching live. So much appreciated for you to coming out and listening to myself and Kevin and Lee. Kev, always a pleasure having you on, mate. Absolutely love having you on the show,
Lee.
man.
Tremendous.
Brilliant. What a lovely hour that was.
Listen,
fantastic.
Thanks for the fans to joining us on this Sunday evening. What a lovely night.
Why Peaky Blinders is on as well,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, did that start tonight, did it?
Yeah, it starts tonight, so I'm going to catch up and watch that now,
What a show. That's one of my favourite series, mate. Absolutely love it. Absolute quality. Guys, been a pleasure. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks for your super chats. Thanks for your interactions. All your questions were fantastic. And we are going to see you in the coming week. And we'll look forward to another Arsenal game and hopefully another Arsenal victory. Until then, we'll see you next time. Take care. Much love.